In 1950, 25 million tourists visited another country. In 1970, that number rose to 166 million. And in 1990, it rose even higher to 435 million people. This year, the World Tourism Organization estimates that 1.4 billion people travel the world. That means since 1950, the number of tourists has increased 56 times. But how has that impacted the world? Globalization, the interaction and integration between people, companies, and countries worldwide, causing international influence. The airplane, the telephone, and the internet are three inventions that are linked to the spread of globalization, as using those things has made it easier to communicate and share information and ideas between people across the globe. This is especially true for the globalization of travel. The internet and social media continue to grow the popularity of travel, with millions of people posting about their holidays online. Also, airplanes have made it easy for anyone to turn those dream vacations on Instagram into a reality. Not only that, but the development of airplanes lets people go places in a matter of hours, instead of months, when people use boats to travel. Fiji is one of the places that has greatly benefited from the globalization of tourism, as travel is a critical part of their economy. Just last year, Fiji made over $2 billion and 45,000 jobs were created from tourism. This has led to massive positive impacts for the people of Fiji, like greater living conditions. Nearly 100,000 tourists traveled to Fiji in the month of July this year, but sometimes more tourists doesn't mean better. Tourism on Mount Everest brings Nepal over $300 million every year. However, the 25,000 annual tourists that attempt to climb Mount Everest create a huge impact on the environment. While climbing, people abandon tents, equipment, and trash, not to mention all the human waste and bodies. An expedition team once collected 10 tons of trash, climbing up and down the mountain over a course of a month. Plus, the frigid temperatures make it so that plastic decomposes even slower than it already does. Some may say that that's the price the Nepalese government has to pay for the economic benefit, but some places aren't even getting as much as they should, because of something called tourism leakage. Tourism leakage is when a big portion of tourism revenue leaks out of the local economies and into the hands of businesses owned by big international companies. For example, about 30 million people travel to Thailand every year, but only 30% of the money spent by tourists contributes to the local economy. The rest ends up outside of Thailand. This means Thailand's economy doesn't profit from tourism as much as it should, while still enduring the same environmental toll of over-tourism. Governments need to step in and regulate the number of tourists flowing in and increase taxes for businesses profiting from tourism coming from other countries. This is important because the fact that we travel the globe impacts the world socially, as it makes it easy to bring people together, economically as it's become a large money-making industry, environmentally as over-tourism continues to harm the environments of popular tourist destinations, and politically because if no government action is done, the negative impacts of tourism could outweigh the positives. In the long term, it is hard to believe that the negative impacts of travel will completely vanish. With the never-ending growth of tourism, large companies will continue to profit from it over local economies. Over-tourism will continue to exist, and it will create even greater environmental tolls than there is now. Unless something is done, I am not optimistic that the globalization of travel will remain a positive force in the world, even with the positive impacts. The negative effects could decrease tourism in many countries, causing local economies to not benefit, and it would be harder for people to travel. And without it, we wouldn't be able to create those magical experiences of traveling to somewhere new that we all know and love.